What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Love and Marriage Huntsville recap, season 6, episode 29, Feeling Protected and Using Protection. So I hope that all of you guys are having a wonderful weekend. This episode was I think like a little bit of a filler episode, but it leads us into Kiki, who is coming, and the YouTube streets have been really hot in regards to folks, leaking information. There are no leaks over here. I'm not going to do that or spoilers. But, she does show up next week and it's going to be interesting. But as far as this episode goes, it picks up where the last one left off. So they're in this beautiful Airbnb and, the group gets together for dinner. So they all walk in and they're asking Marcel if he ever made a plate for Tisha. Because, of course, the first thing out of Martel's mouth is, do we make our own plate? And Nell's like, yes. I know she's thinking, you don't have a wife here. So, yeah, of course you're going to make your own plate. But Marcel's like, I have before. I've made Tisha's plate when she was sick. Oh, my goodness. And I know that they think that they're being funny when they say these things, but man, these men are like 1930s in their ways of thinking. But anyway, so while they're eating, Nell notices Martel's wedding band. And they're like, is that your wedding band? And then they ask Melody, like, is that his wedding band? And he says, wishful thinking. And she responds, I don't know. I haven't even looked. Like she is on her Mariah Carey, I don't know him, which I get it, right? Protect your peace. Martell is talking about wishful thinking, but you're the one who essentially ruined your marriage by stepping outside of it for years, by the way, and having a baby on Melody. Like I don't the chauvinistic, right, mindset of these men again is just like it shouldn't surprise me, but it does. Some of the antics that they pull. So anyway, in walks Stormy and Courtney, and they initially missed their first flight, so they came later, and they said their babysitter is on the way, and so they brought their baby Chase, which is really cute. He's adorable. And Marcel's like, "Well, do you want me to watch the baby?" Because Stormy and Courtney said they're going to go to a hotel because they don't want to share a bathroom with Martel, which is understandable. He's like, "I'm not sharing no bathroom with no grown man." And that's understandable. But when Marcel was like, do you want me to watch the baby? They're like, no, you don't even watch your own kids. Okay, he clocked it. And this goes back to, Marcel's like, what's everybody talking about babies? Because, of course, Tisha took that pregnancy test, and they're going to get into that a little bit later. But I just thought that was really funny. Courtney is hilarious. So they do bring it up at the table, right? Tisha's like, I've never given you any reason not to trust me. And Marcel's like, taking a pregnancy test when I've had a vasectomy is a reason for me not to trust you. I think, and this is just my own, opinion, but I really do believe that this man is projecting because, and Carlos King and the producers are so shady for this, but they cut to so many B-roll and backstory footage of previous seasons where, he has gone to Africa. He went to Colombia on a guy's trip during their anniversary weekend. That caveat is really important. Okay, that's disrespectful. But he left the country. He's always leaving the country and the continent and not taking his wife and children with him, right? There was that picture, where Wanda was asking him about, there was a picture with his back in a hotel room, and he tells Tisha like, well, yeah, I did go to, Atlanta with a friend. What? You know what I mean? Like, but why would somebody be taking a picture of your back while you're sleeping? Or the fact that Martel said that, well, you've cheated with 20 women. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, there's so many quote unquote coincidences. After a while, they start to add up. And so Tisha, she's upset because she's like, well, I've never given you any reason. And people have been pretty much putting all this evidence in her face back when, her and Melody were in that cafe. And she's like, what you need to do is drop off your kids at the babysitter, pull up to, Black or to your husband, um, whatever rendezvous at 3, 4 in the morning and really find out what's going on. But Tisha never did that. I feel like she doesn't want to know the truth. So moving on to the ladies, and they all meet in the hot tub, and Melody walks out with sunglasses on, and so Tisha, again, they're always taking jabs at each other. She's like, "Oh, you look like Martell with those glasses on," and Mel's like, "No, I don't." Like she specifically told, pretty much everybody that she didn't want to be lumped in with Martell in any type of way. Her name is Melody Rogers, and that's Martell Holt. They're divorced. And so she's like, my biggest regret is, having 4 kids with a man who never made me orgasm. And they're like, what? Never? 14 years? And again, the producers cut back to, she said that she wants someone who could, talk, freaky to her and stimulate her mind. Martell is not someone who is, in my opinion, that would be able to even rise to that level to provide any kind of mental stimulation. You know what I mean? Like he's just a very selfish person. I'm sure he's probably a selfish lover, but he's very self-centered and narcissistic. And that's just the truth. So while the ladies are in the hot tub, the men are, playing dominoes outside and smoking cigars. And they're talking about, Tisha, essentially having, taking a pregnancy test while they had a vasectomy, was she right to do that? And they don't have the ego. Well, their egos, I think, will be really too fragile in order to really handle the truth about any woman stepping out on them. You know what I mean? Like, and Kimmy brought it up as well, but she's like, men, they just don't have the capacity to forgive and move on when cheating is concerned. And speaking of, so Tisha and Marsau, they meet in the bedroom and they're going back and forth over this pregnancy test. At this point, I'm like, child, she shouldn't even have told him. If it was negative, there was no reason to really bring it up. But since she did, they're arguing back and forth about it. She's like, I'm your wife, and he's like, well, I'm your husband. And, they're just going back and forth over a hypothetical, you know what I mean? Like Tisha's not pregnant and she didn't step out. I think that she's really upset. It's misplaced anger. She's really mad because I feel like deep down she knows that something happened, but she can't bring herself to do what Melody said, right? Which is, hire a PI or have them followed or really find out the truth. Because if she did, it would devastate her whole world. And she said that, she said that she would be devastated. So Maurice, who has been sneaking out and has just been like multiple times during the night. So he said he's going to the pool. He, takes Tisha outside and is trying to talk to her, trying to calm her down. And she gives him a hug and she's like, okay, I'm about to, take a shower and go to bed. But she's like, I'm not sleeping in the room with Marcel. And then later on, Maurice sneaks out again a couple hours later and Martel brings, a young lady to the house, which is just, Martel's a walking contradiction because him saying, it was wishful thinking, him having on his old wedding band, he's really immature. He's like always still playing games at his big age. But, Maurice is again, I'm like, what, Maurice, do you sleep? Like, what's going on? So Maurice, catches Martel bringing a young lady to the house. I feel like they could have gone to a hotel. It would have been a lot, better. But that's Martel. He doesn't really think about anyone else but himself. So moving right along, we have Nell and Chris, and then Kiki calls Nell to basically ask her, well, not even ask her, to tell her that she heard about the trip and that she's on her way. And so Nell's like, okay. So Nell is telling Chris, and Chris is like, you need to tell her not to come. And Nell is like, well, she's on her way. You know, I'm a softie. And so I said that she could come. And Chris is like, well, that's pretty much going to be the end of the trip if she shows up. And lo and behold, right, we get previews for next week where she does indeed show up. And it is, an issue because they ask her to leave and she's like, well, no. Like Tony Otoki. Like, oh, what is Black China's mom name? Yeah, Tony, Tokyo Tony. Yeah, where she's like, well, no. Kiki is like, no one's gonna tell me where I can go and where I can't go. My thing is, if you're not invited somewhere, then there's a reason, right? Because she splashed that drink on Tisha, and Tisha says that it makes her feel uncomfortable. But you shouldn't ever want to be anywhere where you're not invited. You know what I mean? To impose yourself on people's trip, that's not cool. But I guess Kiki doesn't see it that way. She wanted to go, and so she's there. So I will bring you guys the update because it's a to be continued next week. And yeah, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this season? Are you enjoying it? Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. It will really help me out. And I will talk with you later. Take care, Aces. Bye.